Okay, in this video we're going to work through how to find the volume of each of these three prism-like figures. We've got a triangular prism, a rectangular prism, and then a cylinder. It's prism-like because, like a prism, there are parallel and congruent faces, except the circle we don't really consider a face, but there are the parallel and congruent bases. Here we have the triangles, parallel and congruent. Here we have our 6x7 bottom and our 6x7 top. And here we have the two circles. So it's still the same idea. We'll start with this one since it's the most basic of the problems. The first thing I would do is identify my base. The base is a rectangle and its dimensions are 6 by 7. So the area of the base is equal to 6 times 7, or 43 units squared. And then the next thing to identify is my height, and my height is 8 units. So my volume is just the area of the base times the height, or 43 units squared, times 8 units for the height, units, which is 344 units cubed. Units squared times units would be units cubed. But all of our volume problems should have an answer anyways of units cubed, because we're trying to figure out how many of these cubic units fit inside that figure. All right, the next one I'll do is the triangular prism. And the triangular prism, again, we want to identify our base. Regardless, I'm using the formula, area of base times the height, and the base of the prism is a triangle. And it looks like this. So to find the area of this base is equal to 1/2 the base of the triangle. I'm going to use a lowercase b, base of the triangle, times the height of room here, so let's just do h of the triangle, the height of the triangle. And it's important to distinguish. We've got heights and bases of the triangle, and we've got heights and bases of the prism. The base of this prism is the triangle. The height of it, erased from the last one, it was a 14. The height is this distance between the bases. When we're focusing on the triangle, the base I'm going to call 8 and the height 6. It's fortunate that this happens to be a right triangle problem, so I can find that area fairly quickly. 1/2 of 6 times 8, and that's just 3 times 8, or 24 squared. And then my height equals 14, so volume is the base area, 24 units squared, times 14 units, and that is 336 units cubed. So again, we would be looking at, for this picture, cubic units, because we want to know how many 1 by 1 cubes would fill the shape. Okay? And finally, an example of finding the volume of a cylinder. The cylinder, again, identify the base. The base is a circle with radius 5. So to find the area of my base, I use the circle formula, pi r squared. The area of my base is equal to pi 5 squared, 25 pi units squared. And then the height is 12, so volume is the area of the base times the height, 25 pi units squared times 12 units, and we would have 300 pi units squared. Sorry, units cubed. Units squared times units is units squared. And again, we're looking to figure out how many cubes would fill this figure. Okay, now this again is the exact form of the answer. The volume in exact form is 300 pi units cubed. If your teacher or the problem you're working on says to round to the nearest hundredth or round to the nearest tenth, you would need to go to your calculator at this point and type in 300 pi and you would get approximately 942.5, 300 tenths would be 5 units cubed. So at this point in the problem, you just need to look back into the instructions to see, okay, how am I supposed to leave my answer? If it's supposed to be exact, or in terms of pi, it's this top one. If it's supposed to be rounded to a certain decimal place, then you would go to your calculator, and then you would get your approximate value. So that's specific examples of how to find the volume of prisms and cylinders. We have two different looking prisms here as well. One where it rests on the base, the 6x7 rectangle, and the other where it's not actually resting on its base, or it doesn't appear to be resting on its base. So you have to be a little bit careful, because then the height of the prism is 14, the distance between those two bases. That's it.